Hey, what's going on, everybody, and welcome back to my channel, Movie Files. Elliot here today with another early movie review, and today we're discussing a big film. We're talking about Zack Snyder's Justice League, which will be coming to HBO Max this Thursday. I got the opportunity to check it out early, and I'm going to let you all know what I thought of the film, but more importantly, if you should be excited for it in this spoiler-free review. Now, I have a lot of notes to go over, so I'm going to briefly say, welcome to Movie Files. This is your first time tuning in. Welcome to the community. Consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell. That way you can get the alert when I drop new content. It would mean the world to me if you all can like and share this review. It helps out the channel a lot, but I also appreciate all the support. And in that comment section, let's talk about Justice League. Let me know your pros, your cons, your favorite moments, your least favorite moments, but also more importantly, do you want to see hashtag restore the Snyderverse after you've seen this film? Let's talk about it all in the comments below. So again, I have a lot to break down. I'm going to kind of break it into chapters, very similar to this movie. So there will be time codes in the description of this video. So let's start this discussion. And also, speaking of discussion, this is one of many videos that I have planned for Zack Snyder's Justice League. There will be a spoiler breakdown later in this week, but also this Sunday, I believe it's March 21st. I definitely know the time. It's 7 p.m. Central Time. This coming up Sunday, myself and some very special guests, I'm going to be doing my own version of Batman, bringing this team together to talk about this film in a much more in-depth conversation. It's going to be a spoiler discussion with special guests, probably an hour or two. You know how we do it on this channel. We have some really great discussions. So mark your calendars for this Sunday, 7 p.m. Central Time, a live stream discussion about Zack Snyder's Snyderverse, or I should say Zack Snyder's Justice League, and talking about his Snyderverse and all that stuff this Sunday. But as I digress, let's get into this review, starting off with the positives. Let's talk about the story. Now, I'll say this has similar outline to the 2017 theatrical film, which, by the way, I'm not going to be comparing this to that film that came out 4 years ago. I'm going to really focus on this film, but I will say it has the similar outline and story of that particular version of the film, but I'm going to let you all know it's a much different film. And the reason it's a much different film is because not only because it's 4 hours, but that 4 hours gives you context, it gives you nuance, it gives you layers, it gives you dimensions, which makes the story so much more developed than what we got 4 years ago. And when it comes to understanding the storyline, it's very simple, right? You have heroes that want to defeat the villains, that want to take out the world, all that stuff's there. But the thing that I loved and enjoyed more so than anything about this film, it's the hero's journey. I'm a DC fan. I love me Marvel, don't get me wrong, but when I bleed DC colors. I grew up with these characters. I read the comics, seen the animated shows, seen the movies, the animated movies, and seeing our hero's journey in this film, seeing them come together on the screen is just something I've been wanting to see forever. And when it comes to these characters that are slightly broken, that have tragic backstories, all of these characters, Last Man on Krypton, Diana can't go back to Themyscira, Bruce Wayne and his tragic story, Flash and his mom, Cyborg and his family, they're all Aquaman and his mom and dad's situation. They all have these tragic backgrounds. They're all somewhat loners, but they come together, and I love that aspect of them embracing the team, and that message within the film is so great. I love how this film is kind of broken down into chapters, into 7 chapters, which is just, it makes it feel like I'm reading a comic book more so than I'm watching a movie, which is, I'm not thinking when I'm watching this film, oh, it's like 40 minutes or so an hour till we see this character or that character or this storyline. It just feels like, again, I'm reading a chapter to a book and seeing these things kind of unfold. I really enjoy how they broke that down in the film. And to me, when we get this definitive film and seeing these characters, which dates back to, regardless of how you feel about Zack Snyder's verse, or Snyderverse, I should say, this is his story, right? This goes back to 2013's Men of Steel to BVS to now, and seeing that narrative and seeing that arc for the characters and getting those emotional beats that work for me was just so great to see. And speaking of these characters, let's go ahead and transition into breaking down these characters without spoilers, of course. And let's start off with our heroes, the Justice League, and let's start off with the Trinity. I'm a Batman fan. He's my favorite comic book character of all time, and seeing his story starting in BVS, which he was an older, grizzled Batman who couldn't trust Superman. He wanted Superman dead in that film, to transition to this man, Bruce Wayne, that know that he made a mistake and he's trying to right his wrongs for not trusting Superman and bringing this team together, which you don't really see Superman, or I should say Batman, rallying people up in the comics or previous iteration of the character, but this is a different version of Batman, right? This is an aged Batman. This is someone that wants to make amends for his mistake, and seeing him being the leader, bringing the team together, and Bruce is just such a fascinating character in itself, and the relationship that he has. By the way, I have to say, Jeremy Irons, him and Alfred, their chemistry is just so great in this film, and I love how Alfred's involved in the story, and him and other Justice League members were so great. But this version of the character, Ben Affleck's performance, he's the Batman. He is my favorite Batman. He's my favorite Bruce Wayne. He's my favorite Batman. The costume accuracy, the character, it almost feels like seeing Ben Affleck go from Bruce Wayne transitioning to Batman is so seamless. I just love his story, and I love this version of the character. He's a badass. He's a leader. But more importantly, he wants to right his wrongs. He wants to correct the stuff that he's done in his past. So I love that aspect. Transitioning into Wonder Woman, who I am just such a big fan of Gal Gadot, and she was born to play this role. And going into her story again from BVS, walking away from Mankind, which I'm not gonna lie, I'm not the biggest fan of that particular storyline that Zack has created for Wonder Woman, but nonetheless, in this version of the character, seeing her wanting to put the pieces to the puzzle together, she wants to stand up for Mankind. She wants to be a beacon of hope as she is as a character, and she's all about hope. She's all about love, and I love that aspect. She's a seasoned hero in Zack Snyder's universe, and there are things that Wonder Woman do in this film that you've never seen before in this iteration of Wonder Woman. She is a badass Amazonian. Again, she's about love, she's about hope, she's about compassion. She loves that the team's coming together. She's an important part of the team coming together. But she's also an Amazonian warrior, and she is so badass. And the Amazons in general, without spoiling anything, have a much bigger role in this version of the film, and they were just so awesome. But again, Gal Gadot is just perfect to play Wonder Woman. She's so great in this film. Transition to my man, Aquaman, who I'll talk about him a little bit later. I do have issues with his subplot, but I still like the portrayal of this particular version of Aquaman. You know, a little bit different from James Wan's Aquaman, but nonetheless, it's Zack's version of the character, and understanding that this is a more grounded, Aquaman. It's not the bro-y type of Aquaman that we got 4 years ago. He's more grounded, and I appreciate that of Aquaman. Going to my favorite speedster, Barry Allen, aka The Flash. He's the youngest member of the Justice League, and you see that enthusiasm in the character. And there are moments in the character where, he's a little annoying at times, but nonetheless, you understand it because you spend more time with Barry. He's excited, man. He's hanging around his favorite. He grew up with these heroes, right? There's a line in the film that he mentions how important one of the League members is to him, and you understand that enthusiasm from the character. And in this version of the character, Barry grew on me, man. I really enjoyed Barry Allen. I really enjoyed, Ezra Miller in this role, and there are truly some epic moments that come to mind that involves this character, in particularly in the third act. But one of the things that I really enjoyed about Barry Allen's story is it's the emotional beats in this character. It's the relationship that he has with his father and those moments that he has with his father, and it makes those more epic moments feel more emotional because of what we got with the character. And I love the parallels between Barry Allen and Vic Stone, Cyborg, and their relationships with their parents, right? You have Cyborg, whose dad is alive and he's not in jail, and he chooses not to be with his son, and obviously he lost his mom. Parallel that to Barry Allen, whose dad is alive, but he's in prison and he can't be there for his son, but he's still there for his son, emotionally speaking, because he's there, emotionally available for his son, and obviously he doesn't have his mom. So I love that parallel between Flash and Cyborg, and it gets me so excited to see what Ezra Miller with Andy Muschietti have in store for this character come next year in his own solo film. Transitioning to Superman, Henry Cavill. I literally mean this when I say that Henry Cavill, Superman, is perfect in this movie in every sense of the word. This is just my personal opinion. Henry Cavill is the best on-screen Superman that we've ever gotten. Just my personal sake. I love Christopher Reeves and all the different iterations of the character, but he's my favorite Superman. And seeing Kal-El, Superman's journey in this film, seeing Man of Steel, the last man of Krypton, seeing him in BVS, humanity, going against Superman, but in spite of that, he still sacrifices his life for humankind, and then seeing him being risen in this film, that character arc, that journey. Henry Cavill is Kal-El. He's Clark Kent. He's such a great character. He is, like I said, guys, I don't like to say the word perfect a lot, but he is perfect in this movie for me, and I just love what we got in this film from Superman, and I can't stress it enough. I'm talking to you, Warner Brothers. Please give this man, I'm happy about the announcement for the new iteration of Superman, all that stuff, but give Henry Cavill his Man of Steel too. Please, let's make that happen, ladies and gentlemen. Superman was great. And last but not least, the heart and the soul of the film. We're talking about Cyborg, ladies and gentlemen. Vic Stone, portrayed by Ray Fisher. Now, we all know, it's well documented, all the stuff that went down in the last few years with the behind the scenes and the reshoots. We're not going to really talk about that because there's tons of videos to explore that and tons of articles and all that stuff. But we're here to talk about his performance in this film as Cyborg. And, you know, I've been hearing for years, the intention for the character was to be the heart of the story, to be the emotional beat of the story, and it is the case in this film. Ray Fisher delivers the best performance of this film. He's the standout character for me. He's the heart, he's the resonance, he's the emotional beats of this film, seeing his origins of a football player who wants to do good, who, you know, wants to help people out, even if that means him getting in trouble. You see his relationship with his mom, you see his relationship with his dad, and that fractured relationship of his dad not really being there emotionally speaking, and just seeing all those beats with the character, how he was brought back to life from the mother boxes and his connections to the mother boxes, all that stuff, all the tragedy, all the stuff that he has to deal with, learning who he is, learning that he's a cyborg and the capabilities that he has. But despite all that stuff, he wants to help the Justice League. He wants to be a part of the Justice League. He's not broken. He's not alone. And I love that performance. I love the character. I love the arc of the character. I love what the character stands for. And Cyborg stole with this film. Ray Fisher, great job. He deserves all the praise that he's going to get for this film. That's just enough said there. Let's get into these villains. It's not even funny how much better Steppenwolf is in this film. Again, I don't want to refer too much to the 2017 Justice League film that we got from Joss Whedon, but he's more menacing. He has an actual purpose to the film. He has a storyline. He has, things that he's doing. He has a reason why he wants the mother boxes. He has a reason why he wants to serve the dark side, as we'll talk about here in a bit. But I think that when it comes to this rated R-ness of this film, when it comes to Steppenwolf and his axe slicing and dicing, it deserves that rated R nature. And I really enjoyed Steppenwolf in this film. Again, he felt like someone that can go against the Justice League, and unlike that other character we got 4 years ago, which brings me to Darkseid. Oh my goodness, Darkseid. I won't say much about this character, but man, I want more. I want more of Darkseid. I want more of New Genesis, Apocalypse. I want more of Granny Goodness. I want more of Darkseid. Ray Porter, who voices Darkseid, is perfect in the role. And I'll just say this: Darkseid's Omega beams and his prize that he's looking for in this film, the chef's kiss. We'll just say that with Darkseid. And without diving into spoilers, in regards to, this is public knowledge that there is a nightmare sequence in this film that involves the Joker. And the Joker in this film completely changed my opinion about the 2016 Suicide Squad Joker, who I never felt that Joker was a match for the BVS Batman. But that has changed. When you see the Joker in this film, that scene, I'll just say that. Let's talk about Zack Snyder, the score, and the production of this film. Zack Snyder, this is coming from a Zack Snyder fan, ladies and gentlemen. Dawn of the Dead, 300, Man of Steel, BVS, films I love. This film felt so different from anything I've seen from Zack Snyder, but at the same time, it felt familiar, right? This is the same universe. This is the Snyderverse. It's a darker tone, but it feels, organically speaking, it feels natural to the story to be a little bit more lightened. It feels a little bit more hopeful than previous films. And again, I love Man of Steel, I love BVS, but those are a little darker movies, and this film is dark. Don't get me wrong, it's rated R and it's very violent at times, but I love the natural progression that Zack Snyder gives us in this film. Again, it feels different from Zack Snyder, but it feels the same all at once. Regardless of how you feel about Zack Snyder's interpretation of these characters from your favorite comic book run, you have to respect that this is Zack Snyder's characters, that he wants, this is his story. In regards to his story, his narrative, it fits perfectly of the arc that we got from 2013 to 2016 BVS to where we are now. It just feels right to the characters, again, in this Snyderverse. I'm not referring to the comic books and the different things, but I'm just referring to the characters that he has given us before. I think he truly understands the characters and the story that he wants to tell, and this grounded nature of the story that he wants to tell. And Zack Snyder gives us something that I really appreciate, which again, I'm all about superheroes and what superheroes stand for and what they mean for people and things of that nature. This is a superhero film. These are superheroes being superheroes and doing heroic things, and I love that Zack Snyder was able to pull that out of the story. And I thought this is maybe his best directing that he's done so far in his career. And this is coming from a Zack Snyder fan, ladies and gentlemen. I gotta talk about Junkie XL score. It's beautiful. It's epic. It's menacing. It adds a lot of layers and dimensions, and it elevates the film. Junkie XL, hell of a job in the score department. The VFX, as we all know, it has the reshoots. It had the $70 million budgets to finish up the film. I thought that the VFX were really good in this film. There's the occasional, there are literally characters that are just visual effects. They're all CGI, Darkseid, Steppenwolf, things of that nature. And there's some moments where the CGI was a little spotty at times, quicker moments of Wonder Woman fighting this, that, and the other. But listen, this isn't no Superman mustache situation going on. The VFX are really good. And again, going back to my boy Barry Allen Flash, there are literally moments that rivals any speedster that you've ever seen on the big screen before. There are literally visual effects that involves Flash that are incredible. So I can go on and on and on, which I will later on in the spoiler review in this Sunday. But let's get into my criticisms with the film. Now, again, this is a 4-hour movie, and I felt the pacing was great. I never felt like there was a dull moment, but there were scenes that I felt that I wish they were a little bit sped up, and I wish there were some scenes that could have been left on the cutting room floor. I will say that without getting into spoilers. And I mentioned earlier, one of my biggest things that was a criticism in a particular character in his subplot, Aquaman. I enjoyed the character, Jason Momoa, my man. I'm a big fan of his, but all the Atlantis stuff wasn't my favorite stuff in this film. I'll say that this has nothing to do with the real world stuff with Amber Heard and Johnny Depp, but Amber Heard and Mara just didn't work for me in this film. Willem Dafoe, my man, as Vulko, it didn't feel organic. I felt like that particular subplot with Atlantis and him taking on the throne, it just didn't feel as organic as the other characters' backstory, and I just wish it was a little bit more fleshed out in regards to, I don't like the design of Atlantis. I don't like the bubble creation, how they have to talk to one another. I just felt like the Atlanteans were weak. All that stuff to me, the subplot of Aquaman subplot, which is like the weaker element of this film. I love Amy Adams. I love Diane Lane, Lois Lane, Martha Kent. They were underwhelming. I felt like, again, I understand where Amy Adams, Lois Lane's coming from, the death of Superman. She's grieving, but that was just like, that was it. That was like the only thing with her character. She was just grieving the whole movie up until a certain point. There is a really good emotional moment between those three characters, Superman, Martha and Lois, but for the most part, Lois and Martha were very underwhelming for my personal taste because I love those characters. And I love those actresses. But going into a little bit of Wonder Woman's story, again, Wonder Woman was important. She was great. She was a badass. She was a leader. But her subplot kind of lost momentum as the film went on. I definitely want to see the subplot that's introduced in this film, and it's something I want to see in Wonder Woman 84, and I hope we get it in Wonder Woman 3. That subplot, which I don't want to spoil, I hope we get to see that in the future, but I wish we would have focused more on that as the film went on. I felt like it was kind of forgotten as the movie went on. And I'll say this, when it comes to the Justice League coming up with the idea of bringing back Superman was, it's cool and it's visually really awesome and it's a really great moment, but I'm just not a fan of like the grave and all that stuff. To me really doesn't work for me in either version of the film. And then lastly, I don't want to spoil anything in regards to there's some other things that I'm going to mention in later videos that I'm going to be making for this movie here. But when it comes to a certain cameo and a certain surprise character, it's a cool character. It's a cool nod to the character, but I did not like the look of that character, and I'll just leave it at that. So those are my pros, those are my cons. Before I give you all my overall thoughts and my score for this film, make sure if you haven't already, like the video, share the video, leave your thoughts in the comments. Let's have a discussion about this film. And of course, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell. That way you don't miss any of my other content. With that being said, let me give you my overall thoughts and my score for Zack Snyder's Justice League. I am so happy to say that this is truly an epic film with true superheroes. It's a layered movie with more context and nuance, and the execution of these characters really matters in this film. The age of superheroes have returned, and Zack Snyder knows this story, and he wanted to give us the story all the way back in 2013 and to this point. Seeing the Justice League come together on screen was truly incredible. The action is exhilarating, it's jaw-dropping, and the characters coming together, even though they have tragic backstories, seeing them fighting side by side and not accepting loneliness really gives justice to these characters. Ray Fisher gave the best performance in this movie. He carries the emotional beats. It's a 4-hour, epic, intense, fun, emotional roller coaster, a film that may be Zack Snyder's best work today, and I cannot forget to say #4Autumn. With that being said, I'm going to give Justice League, or I should say Zack Snyder's Justice League, a 4 out of 5. Very impressed by this film. I can't wait to watch it again. I can't wait to physically own this movie. I recommend you all give this a watch. I can't wait to talk about more spoilers. I can't wait to have our discussion on Sunday at 7 p.m. Central Time, myself and special guests breaking this film down. I really enjoyed it, and I hope you all enjoyed it. And when you see Zack Snyder's Justice League, let me know your thoughts. Again, your pros, your cons, your favorite moments, your favorite characters. Hashtag restore the Snyderverse. I want to see more from this story, but I want to know what you all think about seeing more from Zack Snyder's mind of the Justice League. Let's talk about it all in the comments. As always, make sure to like the video, share the video, leave your thoughts in the comment section, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Again, we'll be talking more about this film in the coming days. Hope you all are staying safe. We'll see you on the next video.